All right, guys, we are back. Fitness Profit Multiplier. Anthony and Jimmy here to give you guys another great episode today. Today, we're going to be talking about if you're doing one on one training, if you're a one on one personal trainer listening to this, how can you actually make a business out of what you're doing and how to transition to small group? So, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background. So, when I first started, I was doing just one on one. That was basically what I did. I was working so many hours. I didn't have a real business. I had a high paying job. So how do I have a business now that's actually scalable? And now I have two locations is by transitioning to small group personal training. And the reason why I didn't do this earlier was because in the beginning, I kind of thought I was like, yeah, it's a scam. It's one of those things. I'm like, this doesn't work. People don't want this. This is like boot camp. Because I guess when I first started, it was like one-on-one or boot camp. There was really no such thing as small group. If people called it small group, it was still boot camp. I didn't realize that you can do essentially one-on-one training in that small group setting, and you could set yourself up to actually own a business and be way more profitable. And actually, the cool part about it is throw yourself out of the equation, hire another trainer to run the sessions. And now you're not a trainer anymore. And you're kind of like take a step back when it comes to it. So, yeah, Jimmy, I don't know. I kind of know a little bit of your background, but you started with small group right away, right?
Yeah, when we opened our business, we did. So just like everyone else, when you start in the personal training industry, you are a one-on-one trainer at a big bucks gym. Most people start that way. So if you're listening to this podcast or just so happen to listen to it and you're in that position right now, definitely get on a call because there's a lot of things that you don't know when you're just an independent trainer at a big box. But that's where everybody starts in their career, typically, right? And so that's what you know. They sell sessions by the pack. You just train everybody one-on-one. You believe that one-on-one is the only way and the best way, right? And some people still believe that. That's fine. But it doesn't make for the most profitable business. So when we started, as you guys know, I started out of a kind of a forced start of my gym where a gym that I was working for kind of failed and he had all kinds of different things, large group, small group, one-on-one, would sell whatever he could to try and make ends meet, right? But when I was in that environment, I was like, the small group is the way to go, right? When I looked at that environment as a whole, I looked at all the services being provided and I'm like, the small group is the way to go because it's not such a low premium that you need a huge volume of people. And it's not such a high premium that it's not accessible to everyone. Where one-on-one sometimes is not accessible to each person you're going to want to help because of the high price point, right? So some people just straight up can't afford one-on-one training. I mean, Anthony and I both have one-on-one clients that spend upwards of $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 a month on one-on-one training. Not everybody has that kind of cash. So you have to do something where people have the kind of cash. I mean, the average car loan in America is $500 a month, right? People are spending that on their car. You just have to convince them that it's more important to spend on their fitness, which is a whole nother story with sales. So if you go back and look at some sales podcasts, we'll help you with that. But it's more stomachable. But in charging people 400 moving forward, so I digress. I'm kind of getting off the question here. But yes, when we started our business, we started small group predominantly, and we've been small group predominantly from there forward. So 90% of our clients are in our small group program, and then 10% are in our one-on-one program.
And I think that's a good ratio. I think one-on-one is still a good viable option to have in your facility. But again, you don't want to be one of those places that offers everything. We talked about this in other episodes. Offer two things. For us, small group, one-on-one, both premium options when it comes to your fitness. You could do small group at an open gym, where that's kind of the other way you can go about it. I mean, it just depends on what you have, And these are the things, again, if you click the link below, you can book your call and we can go over this and kind of help you walk through what you should and shouldn't be offering. But the main thing is having that small group premium option is, I believe, the best way to do it because you actually have a business. It's scalable. Think about it. When you have one-on-one clients, who are they rooted to? The trainer. They're not even rooted to the facility. I've had people, I trained out of a Gold's gym and they were rooted to me. They were only there because of me, not because of the gym. When I left, they left too and never went back. So that was like lost clients for the gym. So, but when you have small group, they're rooted to the facility, they're rooted to the place, the culture of the place. And that's where that's even more powerful because now you have, if that trainer leaves, you replace that trainer, that person's still there. They're not leaving because of the trainer. So this is why I believe small group is ultimately the best way to go about it. But neither here nor there. Let's get into how you transition from one-on-one to small group. And the way I did it, again, and Jimmy kind of mentioned this, we both charge premium. If you're going to do anything, you might as well be the top of the food chain instead of the bottom, because the race to the bottom is very, very, you're not going anywhere. So you have to charge premium. So I was charging premium for one-on-one. It was very, very expensive. So people were coming to us twice a week. It was $500, half-hour session. That's a lot. It's a lot of money. So all I did was I took my existing clients and said, "Hey, Mrs. Jones, you're coming twice a week and you're paying 500. How about, do you want to come an extra time a week for the same price?" So it always intrigued them. They were like, "Well, yeah. What are you thinking?" "Well, we're making the gym a little bit better. We're going to transition into having a couple more people in the session with us. It cuts down the price for you. That was the big selling point. It's going to cut down the price for you, and you're going to be able to come more." "Yeah, I'll do that." And we had a lot of clients just switch just like that. And the reason why I think that was the best way to do it was because we didn't lose revenue. If someone didn't want to switch, it was fine. I still would train them one-on-one at their current price, which is fine. But now I have people going into semi-private paying the same. Whereas if I would have said to them, "Hey, Mrs. Jones, you're paying 500 now. You're going to pay 300 and come twice a week," that would have cut down my revenue significantly. And when you make that switch, you don't want that to happen at all. So you want to try to keep your revenue the same so you don't lose, even though you end up making more, even if you did lower it. But you always want to try to keep that revenue the same. Plus, the client is already used to paying a certain amount of money. So if you can get them to pay the same and come more, that's a win for you. So that was the way I did it. I just transitioned all of my clients going into that. And then from that day forward, I only sold small group. I did not sell one-on-one. Now we kind of transition where we're selling a little bit of more one-on-one because now we got some gaps in the schedule. And again, like Jimmy said, I think 10% is probably the ideal amount that you want in one-on-one. But yeah, that's basically how I did it. I mean, it's nothing extravagant really when I think about how I did it, but I've seen people transition from one-on-one to small group and literally cut their business in half.
Yep. Yeah. And there's a few things that you can do wrong that cut your revenue, so you have to do them correctly. But that brings up the point as to right now when we transition people, sometimes people when they come into your facility are not ready or don't believe that they're ready for the small group training model, right? Most people are, because it's small group, so it's not really that different than private training, but you can make a lot more per hour as a business than hiring your trainer out as a hired gun for the one client, right? But I digress. So when we go into it, as Anthony said, very, very good point with the pricing model. So right now, what we sell most is twice a week, half-hour one-on-one training for our one-on-one side, right? Most of what we sell is 3 times a week, small group. That's by far the 90% of the sales meetings end up in 3 times a week, small group, right? But the cool thing is twice a week, half-hour one-on-one is $480 a month. 3 times a week, 45 minutes, small group is $450 a month, right? So it's very similar. You're losing $30, but it's very similar in revenue. So when you sign somebody up twice a week, half-hour one-on-one, and then transition them into small group so they get more frequency and more value, it's a very easy transition to make, and it doesn't change your revenue that much. It actually makes you more profitable because you're taking them from a trainer's one-on-one schedule into the small group. It opens that trainer up to take on another one-on-one client to feed more people into the system, right? So if you make those pricing structures and the thing that you sell on the one-on-one side much similar to the thing that you're selling on the small group side, but the small group model side has more value, more frequency, more time, but is a similar price point, it makes it a very easy transition when somebody starts with one-on-one and you want to push them into small group. And that's what makes sense to go from one-on-one to small group, to push that. I was part of a business model where it made no sense to push people from one to the other because your revenue just dropped dramatically going from the one-on-one side to a boot camp, right? You transition them that way, they're paying $100 an hour, and then you transition them into a $149 a month option, and you transition them here, the revenue drops dramatically, because somebody's paying $800 a month and they go to 149. Oh, I want to do the group stuff. When they're that different, it's crazy. And that's one of the reasons why we like the two models to be similar to each other. Boot camp and small group and one-on-one, right? You always have that small group in there, whether it's your premium or your one-on-one's your premium. Then your revenue's not as flux, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I guess, you know, how you, I guess I kind of forgot to mention this, but how do you transition to do this? How do you tell people this? You know, what's the best way to go about doing it? If you want to make this global change in your business, as I did, have conversations. That's all it took. I didn't send out any text messages. I didn't send out any emails. When the clients came in, I said, hey, I'm starting something new here. How would you like to trade more? That was the conversation. And then just have the conversation, push them in. Some people didn't want it. No problem. I'm still training, right? So I'm still, the other cool thing that I did while I made this shift was I took my trainers that I currently had and I took their one-on-ones away. Well, for most part, you know, I kept some of them in there, but I took most of their one-on-ones away and I put the small group on there. So every time we had a small group, one of the trainers did the small group. So I was actually becoming more profitable, even though I was kind of backfilling the one-on-ones in there. So you just have to keep having those conversations. And in every person that you sell going forward, you just commit to selling that. And you can have both options on your price sheet. You know, you could have 3 times, again, we always suggest you have 3, everything's getting blurred out. You have 3 things that you sell. So maybe you sell, I don't know, twice a week, semi-private, 3 times a week, semi-private as a second model. And maybe you sell 3 times a week, one-on-one. And the 3 times a week one-on-one is astronomical. And you anchor them to that price. Well, Mrs. Jones, this is why it doesn't make sense for you to do one-on-one. I don't think you need one-on-one. It's twice the price. I think 3 times a week for you in the small group will work perfect. You'll get to your goals still in a safe environment, blah, blah, blah. And that's just what you do. And then, yes, if you get the person that comes in that does one-on-one, perfect. At least they're paying for it at a premium price. So that's probably the best way to do it. Just have conversations, be open and honest with your clients. And you can even tell them like, hey, look, I'm working way too much. I'm getting burnt out and I feel like I'm not giving you the quality that you need. By switching to the small group, we'll be able to give you more. You'll be able to come more and I can give you a better service doing that, which probably is the truth. Because if you're doing one-on-one and you're making good money, you're working a lot of hours, a lot. So, and now I'm making just as much as I was making when I was doing one-on-one. Not doing any sessions at all. I mean, I have other headaches now, but I'm not doing what I was doing before. So hopefully this helps you guys transition from one-on-one to small group and to be more profitable. Because again, like I said, we want you guys to be able to take home 20K a month. That's the goal, because that is life-changing money. You could do anything you want with that. You could invest, you could have other things on the side, you could start other businesses. You know, it really will open you up to do a lot more and give you more freedom. But if you're interested, pick up that, click the link below, pick up the phone, hop on the phone with us, and we can walk through with you guys step by step what you need to do in order to help you get to that next level. So until next time, Anthony and Jimmy, Fitness Profit Multiplier, we are out.